Bullshit.
Are you a note taker? If yes, how do you do it and how good are you at it? If not, why don't you take notes? It's the No Bullshit Marketing Show. I'm Dave Mastovich, CEO and founder of Massolutions, your no bullshit marketing firm. Today's subject is notes and note taking. I have a lot of experience and history around this subject. I've heard so many comments to me about this subject, so I'm going to walk you through notes and note-taking, why it's relevant, why it helps with retention, respect, and results. Didn't even mean to, but I got 4 R's there. Let's look at it this way. A lot of people don't take notes today. And I think it was probably like that through the course of time, but it's become less the more electronic we are. So it breaks down to a number of different categories of people. Some just flat out do not take notes. Some have the intention of taking notes, and I'll watch them in a meeting and they'll write one sentence or one word down during an hour-long meeting. Others take some notes, get a pretty decent gist of it. There's another group that takes good quality notes that really helps with retention, respect, results, and relevance. And then there's the group that goes probably a little too far, and they're pounding away on their computer, and they take copious notes that are maybe too much and not as valuable, so then they get wasted because it's too long and too lengthy, and so people ignore it. So I want to talk to you about why it's important to take notes and what the relevance of it is. Then I'm going to go into ways that you can do it better if you're already doing it, or start doing it. So why is it relevant? Well, there's a psychological relevance to you, the note taker, and this is science that supports this. What happens for us is there is a valuable knowledge gain in our retention of things by writing things down. So whether it's writing on your tablet, your electronic tablet, or writing notes on an actual tablet, you have some value there. So that's the science of it. You're going to walk away with more specifics and memory of the actual meeting, and then when you look at your notes, you're going to remember more than you would have if you didn't have notes. But it's also psychological in this way. When you're forcing yourself to take some notes in a meeting, you actually are listening more actively. And you've heard multiple episodes of mine talk about how significant listening is to leadership, how significant listening is to sales and business development, and how significant listening is to marketing and communication. So if you're in a meeting and you're taking notes, you're going to remember more at the end of the meeting. You're going to remember more when you refer back to the notes, and you're going to have listened more actively than if you didn't do that. But there's another thing, and that's an R called respect. The respect that you get from the others in that room because you took notes. And then if you refer back to those notes, that respect is significant as well. How can I talk about this? I'm going to give you qualitative, anecdotal information. I talk about how anecdotes and analogies drive storytelling. Time and time again, I get comments about my note-taking, retention of what I was told, my listening, and being able to apply it back to someone. Now, this week it happened in a major client presentation where they were asking questions about whether they were going to go on with the next phase of the marketing with us. It's a significant project. And they brought up a couple of their questions, and I used analogies tied to 2 things I learned from them weeks, if not a month ago in conversations. But I had taken notes and I prepped for the meeting, and I remember going through that and thinking these are some significant things they were concerned about. And I was able to tie those concerns with what we were doing and how other clients had had success. And the comment was actually made, that's great if you can just really tell that you've asked us all questions and listened to our questions and you were able to understand and apply it. I don't want a pat on the back. I'm telling you this, that I hear this frequently. I hear this a lot. I'll have people say to me, you take those notes, but then you do something with them, because that's the other thing that happens is people will take notes and then not do anything with them. So the process of the note taking is that it helps with retention of message. It helps with respect of the people in the meeting, but it helps with results if you make a note to go back to your notes. If you make a note on your to-do list at the end of the meeting, refer back to the notes on that day, or the next day you're making your to-do list. I want to spend some time reviewing my notes from 3 meetings yesterday. And then when you're about to go into the next meeting with someone who you had a previous meeting with, you should put on your to-do list to go back and look at the notes from the previous meeting, because that's how you get the results. So it's all about retention, respect, results because of taking notes. Now, there's a lot of different schools of thought on this. And I came up at a very young age. I was had a seat at the table as either the top executive or one of the top executives at mid-sized companies and large companies and super large companies. And there was an old school thinking that an executive doesn't take notes in a meeting. I always thought that was absurd, and I would get comments from the top person at these large multi-billion-dollar companies I was with about how I took all these notes, and that it made me look a little less than the chief marketing officer type, senior VP type that I was. And I said, okay, but I'm going to keep taking notes because I just love to be able to refer back to it. So there are some of you out there that are maybe subscribing to that old style of thinking that says that maybe there's a negative to being the person that's taking notes. I don't believe that to be true, and I certainly don't think it's the case in today's day and age. But let's say you do kind of want to take notes, but you just aren't super comfortable with it, or you're busy. It's an electronic era. Well, there are multiple ways to take notes. So one is, I already mentioned this particular tablet of mine. I have the newest iPad, and I use GoodNotes, which I found to be stronger than the regular notes that comes with Apple products, although I use that on my phone. So taking notes here gives me the chance to take notes and then just erase that because I was sloppy. But I get the sensation of writing the note on your tablet. So that's one way that if you have a tablet, take notes. It's all saved. Like I have my notes I can have my notes by client. So when I pull it up, I know which client I have there. I can have my notes by to-do list for a day, whatever. So one option electronically, if someone is not as comfortable with using the old pencil and paper or pen and paper, is your tablet. I mentioned using GoodNotes there, but you can also use notes. Then the second option is notes on your phone. So imagine if instead of you being accused of looking at texts and looking at emails during a meeting, imagine if you said at the beginning of the meeting, I'm going to take some notes. So first of all, you now have an excuse. If you want to just lie and say you're taking notes and then just read emails all meeting, you probably can get away with it now. But if you were to say to someone, I'll be taking some notes on here, every time you're at that phone thumbing away, there's no thought of disrespect or thought that you are putting someone else above the people at the meeting. So now you can take notes on that. Third one is taking notes on your actual laptop. Now, sometimes people do that and they pound away so much it can be distracting at a meeting. That segues into how to take notes. But before I do that, I'm going to show you something that many of you probably don't know what this is. So for those of you on the video side, you can see this. This is called an actual paper tablet. So I know that only about 20% of us know what this are and use this. This is a pencil. It's a pencil. Now, yes, it's a pencil. Now, pencils used to be used a lot. Now, the only way that someone might know about a pencil is maybe if they took the SAT. I'm guessing they still use pencils for that. But I'll use a pencil and paper for some of my planning, especially my weekly planner. I use the weekly planner tool from Strategic Coach, which is a great tool. And I use pencil because I'm going to erase and change some things. But I'm joking. I know you know what a tablet is and what a pencil is. But pen, pencil, tablet, that is your traditional old school way of doing notes. The key is to take the major themes of the meeting, the major 3 to 5 big ideas, and underneath each of those have maybe 3 to 5 bullet points and maybe the name of the person that said a certain thing. And then the most significant thing is at the end of the meeting, just go back and say, I just want to recap what I'm doing after this meeting, and here's some other things that I took that people are probably going to be doing. You do that and you've taken your meeting to a whole nother level. You do that and you've taken your Zoom call to a whole nother level. You do that, you've taken your one-to-one with your boss or subordinate to a whole nother level. So it's about first saying, yes, I'm not above taking notes. It doesn't matter who you are. They used to always say the highest ranking official in the room didn't have to take notes and led the meeting, all that stuff. That stuff's all from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now it's like we're all on Zoom calls, if we get a chance to be face-to-face, etc. So you want to be able to first say, I can take notes, I'm not above taking notes. The second is you then want to take notes the right way, because if you want to get that respect and that retention and those results, if you're taking notes and you write one thing, believe me, everybody in the room notices you wrote 2 words. They do. You've noticed it too. If you're that person that's hacking away at the laptop, people notice that. And they go, oh, there he goes again, typing up every little thing. What did he type up? That joke I said? No. So you want to write a small amount of notes under a main themes of the meeting, and then bullet oriented, maybe some initials of who is doing what, who said what, and then recap at the end. If you do this, you will improve your results, your personal productivity. You will help your company. You will gain the respect of peers and subordinates and bosses, and you'll retain more. You'll remember more. You will come away knowing more, and you'll also be listening more actively, just because you'll be forced to listen more actively. So I hope this helps. I get a lot of comments about notes and note-taking and how I bring it back and tie it back to people. I've had a lot of people that I've mentored ask me for these very same tips that I gave you. So again, you can do pen and paper, pencil and paper. You can do the notes app on your phone, but tell people that before the meeting starts. You can use Good Notes on your tablet. You can use Pages or Word on your laptop. Just start taking notes. Take better notes and leverage all those R's of remembering, retention, respect, results, and take advantage of it. It's no BS. Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Bullshit Marketing Show, recorded in our own studios here in the Lair in bold, beautiful downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea? And build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions, no BS.